Solar is actually real easy to install yourself. We're going to be hooking up this mobile home with a 110 volt and a 240 volt inverter. And so follow along if you'd like to see how the masters do it. All right, we're going to be installing a off-grid system on this mobile home. First step, find where you want your solar panels and set the posts. We're just doing 3 posts, 2x4s along here, and you'll see how the panels go on that after that. Running our wire over to our inverter. This is going to be wired in a high voltage setup, so we just got 2 wires coming in. We're going to set our batteries there, inverter on the wall. There will be something built around it. Our inverter is right there. We'll set all that out, put that up, and show you the next steps from there. Hey, you can see I got 3 posts up, got the 2x4s on here. We'll do the next row over here. 2x4 will be lower for the solar angle. Okay, got the lower posts. I'll put the 2x4 on them. All right, so the next step, we're putting the panels on, and as you can see, we're just putting them, resting them on the 2x4s. The end one we just drilled a hole in and screwed into the wood. And the middle ones we just use washers and screw down into the wood. And that'll hold it. We might secure them all together with a self-tapper down the middle or something. But as we go down, we just put the next one on and put the washers in, move on to the next one, and then we'll wire them all together up to the inverter. Got all the panels on, and these panels that these people had wires cut on them, so we live in a dry area. We don't need to have waterproof connections necessarily all the time. If you live in a humid area, maybe don't take this advice, but we're just cutting the ends, and we're just going to wire nut. So just keep it simple. Sometimes these are all going to be series connected, so I'll show you how to series connect the panels together. Right, so we got a black and a white wire running up, and this is why we series connect the panels if you can get away with it, if your setup allows for it. So we got just one wire that comes to this wire on the end of this panel, and then of course under there it runs across and it'll connect to that panel. And so we'll series connect those negative to positive all the way down, and it runs down, and we just have one black wire that comes out of this end and goes into here. And so it keeps the wiring really simplified. You don't need combiner boxes and lots of wire, and then those 2 wires just run up, and this will be about 300 and something volts. Okay, so we're going to show you the power difference between what 1 panel produces and what 9 panel produces. So here is 1 panel, a little underwhelming there, but you get a little bit of an arc. And then once we hook them all together, I'll show you 9 panels. All right, so when we're doing the series connection on all these panels, it's very easy. Typically, if you still have the MC4 connectors on the end, it's even easier. They'll just plug into each other, and that's the only way they plug into each other. So you'll just go from negative to positive, boop, and then we'll just go negative, positive all the way down. Very simple. Plenty of diagrams on the internet. Just search series connected solar panels, and you'll see plenty of diagrams for that. And it should make sense when you look at it that way, but we are just doing wire nuts. So here we are on the end. We hooked our last wire onto the main negative that goes all the way up, kind of wraps around this post and goes all the way down over there. And we'll do the positive end over there. All right, so we got the last end of this panel hooks to the positive end, and if we go over and follow them up, both of these lines are live, so we can load test our panels. And this is always a good test to do to make sure you don't have a missing connection somewhere. And here's the difference between 1 panel and 9 panels. How about that? All right, so panels are up now. Wires are live out here. Hang the inverter where you want the inverter in an ideal place. This is the wires that go to the breaker panel on the inside. So we're just hanging it here and gonna go up in there, put the batteries here, and then there will be something built around this later to keep the water off it, because these aren't waterproof and they're not necessarily that dust proof, but they are a little. So we're hooking the AC line in, and this is a split phase setup. So we have the labeling over here is the same. So we have a line 1, a line 2, a neutral, and a ground. So ground is green, neutral is white, and the two lines are the black and the red. So you're going to hook the black and the red into line 1 and 2. Neutral will go into white. Green will go into ground. So hook them in, and when you're using the proper size wiring on these inverters, it is a nightmare getting them in, but get them in, and then we'll hook in the batteries, we'll hook in the solar wiring, and then this would be like a generator input, or if you have a grid connection, you can just go in there. So we'll finish hooking these in. We got the AC wiring hooked in, just like I said. The lines on the black and red, neutral white, green ground. Now we've hooked in some MC4 connector ends to our charge controllers on this inverter. We hooked them in appropriately, so these will receive the positive and negative end that come in. And so the positive end off the panels is the pointy one, so this one will have to go into the positive, this one will have to go into the negative, so that the positive end comes in. And this gives you a way to pull apart, to just disconnect the solar from these inverters instead of having a disconnect switch. And so we got those wired in. There's two different charge controllers here, so you can have two separate arrays, solar arrays. And then we're making some battery cabling here for the batteries. So the MC4 connector ends, just going to strip a little bit off, and then this is the positive, so we want the positive coming out of the panel to be this pointy one. It says there, positive. And the piece of metal that we put on for the positive is the big one. So we'll crimp this on this wire, and then this just shoves on there just like that. They're pretty simple. All right, just like that. It goes on there, and then that'll plug into that there. And the battery cable we had made there, it's using the hydraulic press thing from Harbor Freight, right? So we're gonna hook the batteries up. We're gonna do like we did with the panels. So one positive, one negative off this end, and then it's gonna go series connected with a wire like this. And then another series connection. And then another series connection from negative, positive, negative, positive. And then we'll go up into the inverter for a 48 volt battery. These are 12 volt batteries. We'll hook it in the last one, and it always does that. Every time. Nothing to worry about. Just capacitors filling inside the inverter. But you can see here we got the series connections, and the main positive coming in and the main negative coming in. And the inverter booted up. So we'll hook in the solar too. You can see right now we got 0 volts on the solar. And when we hook the solar panels in, should get some voltage, 380, 90, and then that's the other charge controller at 0. So then it'll pull the panels down. Oops, can't see, huh? There you go, 380, 90 as it starts to charge. So we'll cycle through and look at what we're charging at. Battery should be pretty much almost full. Yeah, they're full, so it's not going to do a whole lot charging them. And everything inside is on, so we could go fire on the breaker panel. Okay, check out the breaker panel. Should be on in here. This is a beautiful breaker panel, huh? Oh man, this is in our.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you.
So the mains. Those should be live. I don't know what they're all off or.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
some,
look.
I wouldn't turn anything on yet. There's wires right here that are.
Okay.
All right, so you don't
Okay, so
even
we
have
got all
to-
the wires on, breakers on. Flipped them all on. Didn't have any shorts or nothing, so the fridge over here is running and the TV's running.
Oh yeah, it works.
So